Honestly, even at Goodison Park this weekend, but did the Blues deserve more from the game?
It's difficult to argue that they did. I mean, if you look at the stats, I mean, certainly everything's like comprehensively piled up in Everton's favour. I think it was 13 corners to 0. You know, lion's share of the possession, 15 shots on target, only one for Norwich, the one being the one they scored from. And David Moyes was quite keen to point that out afterwards, because I think he was a little bit miffed that, you know, some papers had argued that Everton had not had shots on target for 2.5 games now. He said, I hope you're going to report that we've now had 15 on target. So we have, but you know, the other side is that it didn't look like, you know, scoring from all that many of them. I mean, cutting edge in the last third is so sorely missing, and teams are finding it very, not easy to defend against Everton, but you know, fairly predictable, you know, fairly straightforward. Lots of crosses coming in from the flanks, and if teams can handle them, there's not much else. Which is why, you know, it was crying out for something a little bit different, and you know, ultimately Everton got that little bit different, you know, from Royston Drenthe.
It was a lively cameo in the last 15 minutes, but do you think now he's back from injury, is he one of the first names on the team sheets?
I would like to think so. I would hope so. I mean, again, Moyes was a little bit uncertain afterwards about whether he could include him from the start in some games. I mean, he says when Everton are on top and dominating possession, it's his kind of game, and it's the time that they can, you know, indulge him, if you like. And for me, he made the difference totally. I mean, Everton could have laboured till midnight on Saturday and not scored until he came on, and he just offered something a bit different. He was more direct, he was more penetrating, he offered pace, you know, which in Seamus Coleman's absence, you know, was sorely lacking. And he made the difference, you know, created the equaliser, and could well have scored the winner. Now, you know, David Moyes said that when Everton have got lots of possession, that's the time, you know, when you can indulge him. Now, Swansea, you know, I say notorious, or maybe I should use the word famed, you know, for keeping hold of the ball. They keep it very, very well indeed. And they're going to come to Goodison on Wednesday and probably have, you know, the fair share of possession themselves. So, you know, can Everton afford to, you know, indulge Royston on Wednesday? I would suggest Everton have got to. You know, you need somebody like him, because there's so little, you know, creativity or flair elsewhere. I mean, if Louis Saha's having a quiet night, there's not much else available. I mean, David Moyes talked up Dennis Stracqualati afterwards, and you know, he made a difference. But again, it's all fairly predictable, the kind of stuff you got to get from him. Everton needs something that little bit different. For me, Royston Drenthe is one of the few players in the squad that's capable of supplying that at the moment.
And just touched on Swansea there. We've seen them kind of come to Anfield, play some good football and frustrate Liverpool this season. So what can the Blues do differently to break them down?
Oh, it's going to be a tough little game. I mean, as proved by, you know, Swansea holding Newcastle, you know, with relative comfort at the weekend. They'll keep the ball, they'll pass it very well. You know, hopefully they won't have much of a threat at the top end. That has been a problem of theirs all season. So it's how Everton can get the ball themselves and break them down. For me, you know, there's a couple of options really. I mean, Royston Drenthe, you know, supplying that bit of pace, and then, you know, whether we can see some better movement from the forwards. I mean, Louis Saha, he was okay at the weekend. You know, he got a fair number of shots off target, but Tim Cahill's toiling a bit at the moment. He's, I know it's well documented, he's gone almost a calendar year now without a goal, and it never really looked like, you know, breaking that at the weekend. I mean, he's been playing up top, you know, as a striker, and it doesn't tend to suit his abilities. That, I mean, in the past, the majority of his goals have been scored because he's arriving late in penalty boxes, you know, as part of a, you know, a split striking system, if you like. Playing him up front doesn't appear to have worked, so whether Moyes is prepared to drop him a little bit deeper, I don't know, or maybe even, you know, bite the bullet and bring in Dennis from the start. I mean, Apostolos Velios, who didn't figure at all at the weekend. David Moyes did say that he just looked a little bit off in training last week or two, which is why he's pulled him out of the firing line for a bit, which underlines there are so few options available to him, and it's why, you know, people like Drenthe we've got to use, you know, as best we can whenever we can.